Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So I have another review for you on a quadcopter. This is our Litehawk Quattro. Now, when they first were released, I went and I got one. It didn't bind. Got the second one. Didn't bind. Third one. Well, it flew for a couple flights and the motor screwed up. Wasn't overly happy, let me say that much. And anyway, they've been on the market now for quite a while, so I'm sure they've worked out some bugs, because this one seems to be flawless, which is making me extremely happy. It's surviving the flights. I'm not getting weak motor issues. It's doing actually really well. So I did have a video up on this thing, and I did delete it because of the fact that it ended up being a screw up. That would have been my one that actually flew for a couple of flights, and I thought I was good to go at the time. Guess not. This one's had much more usage and doing very well. Doesn't mean it's not going to screw up again. It could, but for now it's doing well, so I think it's fair to say we can actually give this thing a good go at the review and talk about this thing. And also I've seen a few of these things going around too, and seeing what kind of abuse they've been going through and what happens. If you get some hard crashes, these little plastic feet here can actually start to fracture. You don't want to fly this thing out in really cold weather, because this plastic is a hard plastic. It's going to get brittler in cold weather flying. So, you know, we're talking like cold weather. We're not talking like anything in the plus range should be good. You know, like even plus 5, plus 6 shouldn't be too bad, but it is going to make them a little brittle in that area. I would probably save it for, you know, days where it feels warm outside, then you fly it. No flying in the winter. This thing is not waterproof. It's not water resistant. Do not fly it in the winter at all, because it's just not going to deal with getting wet. Electronics and water just don't mix. Now, I've seen some severe crashes that these things have gone through, and these are kind of like a fiber material or carbon fiber type shaft on them. They will spring back quite a bit without damage, but if you get too hard of a hit, you will snap the legs. Now, you can get 100% parts support for this machine from Litehawk. I love Litehawk for that fact. They do have the support. And the parts aren't too bad for replacements on this. You can get an entire leg assembly with your shaft, your motor, you know, the whole nine there, pretty much, for about 13 bucks roughly, or 14 bucks. It's been a while since I've been on their parts page for this thing, but reasonable. Okay, now the regular retail on this thing, at least at the source, they're pretty close to that $100 mark. They're about 97 bucks, somewhere around there. Right now they're on sale for 70. Now at $70, that's a good buy. Okay, it is a large size machine for a quadcopter. Like, hey, let's compare. That's my little Estes micro quad. Okay, now I'll show you my UDI 816, which is actually bigger than that Estes. Okay, and my UDI is an indoor-outdoor machine. The Quattro is more suitable for an outdoor environment. Its beginner mode is actually pretty slow for response, which is good, and its expert mode is actually pretty quick, which is also very good. And of course it can do flip stunts, which is cool. 4-channel operation. You've got on your right stick here, this is your banking maneuver, which will tilt it this way or this way. And then of course you got forward and backward, which is forward, backward. And then on your throttle stick, you also have a left and right availability, which is going to be for pirouetting or rotating the machine. You have digital trims on the radio. You have, just let me read the instructions, so I don't always remember this. It's nice they give you a nice instruction book too, and you should really read it. Now, flip button is on the right hand side. Left side button, that's for standard and sport mode flying. So this changes basically your cyclics, okay, from slow responses to quick responses. So on slow mode, if you make a fast move like this, it's not going to respond very quickly. On expert mode, a fast move like this is going to create a fast response. So that's how that works. And I appreciate the layout that they've done on this, even though there's no digital display on the radio, because they don't seem to get into that sort of thing yet. It's still very good, and it uses 6 AA batteries to power the radio. You get a lot of battery use on six batteries. So, and I would definitely highly recommend alkaline batteries only. Okay, that's a big thing. Of course, you also get a charger, which takes usually about half hour, 40 minutes for recharge, for about 10-12 minutes of flight time, depending on your flying style. The battery, you don't even have to take it out of the quad to recharge it. You can just leave it in there. It's a 500 milliamp, 3.7 volt battery, which charges to full capacity of about 4.2 volts. Okay, that's just the nature of the way batteries work. Easily plugs in, unplug it, plug the battery connector into your charger, recharge it. They do have lights on here, which are actually red and white. I'll actually plug the power in. You got a flashing blue light that'll stay solid once the radio is bound to the unit. Now, what I like about these lights is they're not chaser lights. So solid red, that's actually indicates reverse or backwards. So you can get good orientation at night flying. And your white lights, of course, are for forward. So when you're flying at night, it's going to look actually really cool up in the air, kind of almost like a UFO. So you can have some fun and do a UFO video. You can get this thing up quite high. When my third one that I had was running good at the time, I did fly it outside and I had it up well over 100 feet and no issues with it. So it does have quite a good range for 2.4 gigahertz. I wouldn't want to really push it too much further than that, but at least not where I live anyways. I might push it further than that out in a big open field or something and see how high I can really get that thing up and see how well it stays in control. But they do get into a little bit of information in the manual. They talk about your warranty. If you have any problems, you get a hold of them, that sort of stuff. It's a lithium polymer battery or a LiPo cell. Okay. Do not leave it unattended when charging. LiPo batteries have been known to catch fire, especially if they've been damaged. Okay. So do not leave it unattended. Stay in the same room with it, or at least stay in the house very close by it. Now, they say here, do not leave the battery plugged into the charger for any longer than 2 hours. I would ignore that because that is just lame and stupid. That is something that shouldn't even be in the manual. Once that light goes green, guys, it is 100% charged. Okay, it's not gonna, should not charge any further, but the green light does indicate that it is fully charged. Red light means means that it's charging. Okay. Do not drain the battery to the point at which you can no longer lift off. Okay, which is something else they tell you. So the motors can't fire up, but the lights are on. They're saying that's too far. Now, I have a little bit of argument on that one. I always actually run my battery down to the point on something like this until the lights are still on. But if the lights did go off, then that would be bad. And so far, I've never had the lights go off. So there is a bit of a cutoff circuit in this thing anyway to protect. But that's how I do it. If you want to follow the instructions on that, then by all means, please do, because I don't want to get you in trouble and have your warranty voided. It's just the way I do things. So follow the instructions on that point. Okay? But this 2-hour thing, it's only going to take about 40, maybe 60 minutes tops to recharge a depleted battery. But like I said, once that battery goes, the light goes from red to green, green is fully charged. Take it off at that point, then you don't have to chance anything. And definitely don't leave it unattended. But also do not recharge the battery until it's had at least 10 to 15 minute cool down time after you've used it. And leave it for another, even 10 minutes max after it's been recharged, because batteries will warm up a little bit as they're charging, and this will give you maximum lifespan out of that battery. Now there is a 600 milliamp battery that you can get. I actually carry them in my shop, which will give you a little bit more flight time, but not a whole lot, but a little bit is nice. But otherwise you can get easy replacement batteries out of Litehawk, 500 milliamp, and they're sufficient. Now, they also tell you do not store battery for longer than 24 hours without charging to at least 65% capacity. Okay, I can agree with that. I always leave mine fully charged when I store them anyways, but that's just me. So they have some useful instructions. They have some stuff in here that's a little bit lame. They do give you some basic instructions on how to fly. Flying quadcopters is a little different than flying a helicopter. Definitely way different than flying an airplane. Okay? So it does take a little bit getting used to. So don't get frustrated with the thing and say, oh, you know, and just take it back. You know, I mean, you got to learn to fly it. Okay? When I transitioned from a coaxial to a single blade helicopter, that was a transition. Okay? When I transitioned from the helicopters period into a quadcopter system, that was a whole new learning game. And because things don't work the same way, right? But they are quadcopters are a lot of fun, and once you get past that small little learning curve on them, you know, okay, it's not totally small, but it's a learning curve, but it's not major. But once you get past that learning curve, these things can be a hell of a hoot, and you'll really enjoy flying them. So I like them. Now, if you do take too hard a crash, you're going to bust legs, okay? Get a whole leg assembly. If you start pricing out the parts on Litehawk's website, it's cheaper to actually get a complete new leg assembly with the motor already installed and the wire already there, etc. Way cheaper. So do it that way. If you break one of your cage feet, well, replace the whole assembly. Less hassle to deal with, less stuff to go wrong when you disassemble. That's just my advice on it, and things I found by messing with a lot of quadcopters. I find it much simpler. Just if you can get a whole assembly, then just replace the whole assembly. Get it over with. These blades, so far I haven't dinged them up, which has been good. Of course, I haven't been crashing in the house either. But I am going to fly it in the summertime too, and I will do a flight video out in the summer. I just find that doing a flight video with something this big in the house is actually not going to be that fair, because I can't show you all the features. But to tell you about it and give you a basic review on it is good. So I would definitely say the durability factor is really good. You just got to watch the temperatures outside, make sure it's warm. It is a thin plastic canopy. It can break, but you can get replacements, no problem. That's not a big deal. Replacement parts for any part of this you can get, no big deal, and the prices are actually fairly reasonable even from Litehawk for the parts. Okay, so it's not going to kill the pocketbook by any means. And the sale price right now, that's what I say was like 70 bucks. I got it on my screen here. Yeah, 70 bucks. That's actually a good price. Now you can get a refurbished unit for about $46.99, or I like to call them previously enjoyed. Okay, but that you got to order online only. But I would go brand spanking new. If I'm gonna buy something like this, and you know, I'm gonna want brand new. You know. But if all you can afford is a refurbished unit, there's nothing wrong with refurbished units. It's going to have probably a little bit lesser of a warranty on it, but they would have gone through it, repaired everything that they needed to, and so on, and you'll get hopefully a good viable unit, right? Because at least by having them doing a refurb, they've had to have flown it and made sure everything was fine before they packed it back into the box to sell. So sometimes buying refurb units is actually really good, as opposed to buying something that's never even had the power turned on. Because I'll tell you this much, whether it's Litehawk or any other company out there, except for maybe a select few, most companies, to categorize it that way, most companies will not test every single unit. They'll test a batch of units. Yep, it binds, it's good, it flies, it's good, I can abuse it, yep, it's good to go, that's a good machine, out the door with the whole shipment. Now, so they don't test every single unit, okay? So I don't understand why they said tested and ready to fly, because it's kind of like they didn't test this one. They may have tested one from an earlier batch, or they may have tested one from this batch, or 5 of them or 10 of them, just to make sure that things went good in the factory when they were put together. But they don't test every single unit. No company that I know of, except for a few, actually do that. But they are, Litehawk does have some really good stuff, and I can say that honestly. They do really have some good stuff, and they do have their share of defects that do happen too, and it just happens, you know. So you can't always single them out for a particular product. Sometimes you can, but sometimes, yeah, they got a bad run. What can you do, right? So anyway, that's the best I can give you on this thing overall, other than some more tidbits. Not much though. Plastic on plastic gears, I really do not like, especially on these. Plastic against plastic does heat up. Now they do this a lot, especially on their smaller helicopters, but so do a lot of other companies. They'll do plastic to plastic. This creates a maintenance thing where eventually this is just going to fly off. You could be in the middle of a flight, and when a quadcopter goes off course, if you're high up there and one of your pinions happens to fly out and you got 3 blades left, it ain't staying stable. It's going to be doing a whirlybird crash, you know, which is really nasty. So you might want to cut the throttle at that point so it can just drop straight down, and you will avoid a lot of damage. But even though it keeps the weight off, which is nice and helps with the flight time, going to a brass pinion, they don't really weigh that much more, so I think they should have actually gone with a brass pinion as opposed to a plastic one. Especially when you get a hard crash, plastic against plastic, but they give you a couple spare pinion gears anyhow, which is fine, you know, it's not a big issue. But I prefer a metal pinion against plastic. That's just me. It wears better on a larger gear, having the smaller pinion, and at least you're only replacing 1 gear, not maybe 2, because if you get a good hard crash, you can actually break teeth on both gears too, which can also suck. But everybody does their things their way, and they have their reasons for it, and that's fine. Okay. The shell will take a lot of hits. It'll absorb a lot of hits, but it is a very thin plastic, which is another reason for no cold weather flying, or not very much anyways, because plastic this thin can shatter too when it's cold, as well as this thicker, harder plastic. It's not a very absorbable plastic, so it can take a lot of hits, but you know, it's not going to take, you know, hard smashes into concrete too many times and something's going to give. But you got to realize that is the nature of these machines, okay? Overall rating, I'm going to leave this one at, well, since it's doing extremely well compared to the other 3, I'm gonna put this thing in on a sale price, and even with all the quirks and everything, and the fact this one is running great, a sale price, I'm going to say definitely a solid, what do I do? I'm going to give this about a 4. Yeah, I'm going to give this a good 4 out of 5. Retail price, everyday price, which is like almost $100. We're talking 2.5 out of 5. It takes a real big hit because I cannot justify a $100 bill for this. Okay, I really can't. Sale price, I can justify $70, and it's not really pushing it too far, but it's worth about $70 on the retail side, brand spanking new out of the box. But sale price, $70 is good. $100, not a chance. You know, that's just way too much money for this machine as far as brand new regular retail goes. So try and get it on sale. A refurbished unit at $50, I would say, well, depending on what kind of condition it's in like when you see it. I haven't bought a refurbished unit, but if the refurbished unit looks like it's brand spanking new, then 50 bucks is a really good price. But if it looks like there's a few things they should have replaced that they didn't, well, then it could be a bit of a downside. But like I said, I haven't bought a refurb unit, so I don't know how they do their refurbs or anything, so I can't say anything about them for that at all. But that's where I stand on this machine. Summertime, while spring comes along and there's no snow on the ground and it's some nice weather outside, we will give you a daytime flight as well as a nighttime flight, and show you how this thing does both ways and how well it does its little flips and stunts and stuff, and we'll actually run a full battery through it at that point too. But anyways, for now, that's it. If you have any questions or comments, you know, feel free to leave them. I can't say my faith is 100% restored back into Litehawk 100%, but it's getting there, you know. Because you all know I had that problem with their Challenger boat, which became a real hurting thing. But their flying machines always seem to do really well. They've always done well with their flying machines. They're doing really well actually now with their garage stuff. You know, okay, like their blast, their brute, and their igniter. They're doing well with those. You know, they've always done well with the Litehawk Chargers, and I haven't bought a Champ yet, but I'm thinking about buying a Champ for the spring and seeing how well it does, just to get an idea. But anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll check you on the next video.